These are Kirby Smart's biggest wins on the recruiting trail so far in the 2026 class. That's what we're talking about in today's video. Of course, the Dogs are on a run. They're on a crazy recruiting run right now, but there are several guys on the commit list that they had to really fight for and battle for. And in the end, they won their commitment. So we're talking about the biggest win so far in the 2026 class. There's a lot of guys to talk about, but we're going to start at the top. Five-star quarterback Jared Curtis, the #1 quarterback in the country for the 2026 class. Big deal. He was on the commit list early, decided to open things up, and that's when a lot of Georgia fans, maybe not y'all, because all the viewers on this channel are the best, right? And we love y'all, but from everywhere else, I remember everyone saying, oh, well, Georgia lost him, right? He's going to Oregon. He doesn't want to play for Mike Bobo. He don't want to play for Kirby Smart. They can't develop quarterbacks, yada, yada, yada. And they were wrong, and Jared Curtis recommitted to Georgia. It was a massive win for a lot of reasons. Number one, because they needed an elite quarterback in this class. And I'm not trying to downplay Ryan Montgomery, Hezekiah Melinder, the two quarterbacks they signed in the 25 class, but everyone knew they had to go swing big and land one of the very best in the country in this 26 cycle. They went after the best in Jared Curtis, and they landed him not once, but they landed him twice. Now he's fully on board. That was, so far, in my opinion, the biggest recruiting win that they have because they beat out Oregon, a team that offered more money and still landed him. Jared Curtis took less money to come recommit to Georgia. He is the #1 quarterback in the country, 40 touchdowns last year, 3 interceptions, ran for 637 more yards, 18 touchdowns, Mr. Football in Tennessee, and he's the #2 quarterback, or he's the #1 quarterback, #2 overall prospect in the country. Big deal. That's #1. Number 2, James Johnson, the defensive lineman that they signed last weekend. I say signed, got him on board. They earned his commitment last weekend, went into South Florida and got this game-wrecking defensive lineman who's leaving the state and chose Georgia over Miami, over Florida. Massive pickup for Kirby Smart and Trey Scott. He's the #2 defensive line prospect of the country. Explosive, powerful, 6'4", 285, and a guy who creates a lot of havoc in the backfield. I say all the time because it's the truth. You're not going to win anything at the college level if you don't have an elite defensive line. And to have an elite defensive line, you need guys like James Johnson, right? #2 defensive line prospect in the country for a reason. This is a game wrecker. He is a game changer, right? And you have to have those guys. And Georgia went down to South Florida and said, no, you're not going to Miami. You're not going to Florida. You can get developed and win championships at Georgia and go on and be a multi-millionaire at the next level, right? We have everything you're looking for. And James Johnson said, you're exactly right. I'm leaving the state of Florida. I'm going to go play up in Athens. Massive recruiting win. So he's #2. #3, another defensive lineman, another top 100 defensive lineman, P.J. Dean out of North Carolina. West Forsyth High School chose the Dogs over a late push by South Carolina. I'll be honest, I wasn't sure where this was going to go. He always liked Georgia. His brother, Jared Wilson, was Georgia's center last year. So he and his family are very familiar with Athens. Kirby Smart, the Georgia program. They've always been high on his list. I knew that. I knew that they were going to be in his final 3, final 2, whatever. But at the end of the day, a lot of people thought he was going to end up at South Carolina. Georgia won a tight battle there last week. So last Monday, if I can get my words out, last Monday, P.J. Dean, the #6 defensive line prospect, #78 overall prospect in the country, 6'3", 255, a big-time offensive tackle for West Forsyth. He's going to play on defense at Georgia. And again, top 100 player and a guy that they landed at the last minute over South Carolina. Big-time recruiting win for Kirby Smart over Shane Beamer. That's #3. #4, Shadarius Tootle, 5-star name, 4-star linebacker. And this was a flip from an SEC rival, right? The Auburn Tigers, I don't know what they're doing. I do not know what they're doing. They're in some real trouble. Not only on their roster right now, because I don't think they're all that great. More on that probably in another video. But on the recruiting trail, I don't know what they're doing. And Shadarius Tootle, I'm going to say his name about 1 billion times during his career at Georgia. I just love saying it. Shadarius Tootle out of Mobile is an Alabama kid, right, who committed to Auburn early in the process. He was a major prospect and commitment for them. He takes an official visit to Georgia and says, whoa, I got a chance to play for Glenn Schumann and the Dogs, linebacker university. You want me? Okay, sign me up. I want to be a Dog. And then several weeks later, he made it public. I knew he really liked Georgia, and I told y'all this was a guy to know. That was on Flip Watch, and he made that public, I guess, last Sunday to really kick things off. Maybe it was 2 Sundays ago now. The days and weeks are coming in bunches now, but he was the first commitment that kicked off that last weekend of June that Georgia went on a massive run. It was Shadarius Tootle who jumped on board, got that domino effect going. But he's one of the top linebackers across the South, made 157 tackles, already has SEC size, 6'3", 220. He's the number 12 linebacker prospect, and he's within the top 200 in the country. So this was a 4-star tackling machine committed to Auburn that Georgia said, no, little bro, not happening. We're going to go take this kid from Mobile on your commit list. He's ours, okay? Big recruiting win, flipping a big-time linebacker away from one of their rivals. So Shadarius Tootle, number 4 on the list. Probably should have gone 6 down to 1, but you had to start with the quarterback. Or at least I knew. You got to start with the quarterback. So Shadarius Tootle, number 4. Number 5, Chase Callaghan. Love this kid. He's the number 117 overall prospect in the country. I don't see it when I turn on the film. I don't see it. I see a top 100 kid. I've said that in another video. He's one of the more underrated guys in this class. He's not ranked where he should be, and one of the guys I think Georgia's fans should be most excited about. 6'3", 190, plays safety for North Shore, one of the best programs in Texas. Tough, physical, hard-hitting guy with size. Georgia likes him at cornerback, and I like his cover skills. I do think that he has good technique already. He's got the footwork. He can pedal backwards pretty fast. He can turn his hips and run with bigger, more physical receivers on the perimeter, down the field. He can locate the football in the air and make a play on it. So there's a lot to like about his potential. Now, if he can just continue to fine-tune his cover skills and his mechanics there and continue to develop there, Georgia's got a guy with size, with, natural cover skills, a guy who can hit and be physical, but also play the football in the air. He takes great angles to the ball carrier. In the screen game, that's not a guy that receivers are going to have fun, blocking on the perimeter and trying to drive backwards. He's got good instincts against the run. He can deliver a big hit. He's going to be an intimidating cornerback, similar to what Kamari Lassiter brought, right? He wasn't an elite cover corner. He was pretty good, right? He's showing that in the NFL. The guy can absolutely cover, but it was his toughness, his ability to make a big hit in the run game against the screen. He brought that physical presence, and Chase Callaghan did too. Now, this is one of the bigger recruiting wins because he was basically a silent to the Texas Longhorns. Kids from Houston, everyone thought he was going to Texas. Georgia offered him 2 months before they landed him. He fell in love with Georgia, so they were able to go into Houston and land a kid that was basically had his 1 foot in Austin, right? Almost had 2, and Georgia said, no, we're going to steal this kid. We're going to steal this big, tough, impressive cornerback away from Texas. We're going to bring him to Athens. I thought that was massive. And then Jay Lamar, a guy that I always told y'all that he's probably leaning towards Georgia. He was their top in-state target at running back, a guy that I thought they really couldn't let leave the state. They needed 2 of the best in the country, and one of them needed to be an in-state guy. There's a lot of really talented in-state running backs, but he was the guy they wanted most, and they landed him. Miami wanted him badly. Clemson wanted him badly, but at the end of the day, Georgia won a big-time recruiting battle, and I feel like he's another kid who chose less money to come to Georgia. Chase Callaghan did. Jared Curtis, again, I'm telling you, he took less money. I don't know about Shadarius Tootle. I just want to say his name. Do I think Auburn probably wrote him a bigger check to stay in the state? Probably, but Auburn's not recruiting like Auburn, so maybe that's not true. But at the end of the day, Jay Lamar was a big recruiting win. Now, he's a guy that I was trending Georgia's way and always had been, and I was very upfront with you about that. It was not a surprise that he went to Georgia, but when you beat out the likes of Miami, who's, doing everything they can from an NIL perspective, and beat out Dabo Swinney, who's a good recruiter. Clemson usually gets their guys. It's still a recruiting win. It was a position of need, and a guy that they wanted, couldn't let him leave the state, and then ended up getting him. So, number 1, 5-star quarterback Jared Curtis choosing Georgia over Oregon for the second time in his recruitment. That's number 1. James Johnson, elite defensive lineman out of South Florida, recruiting win number 2. Number 3, P.J. Dean, winning a tight battle with South Carolina for a top 10 defensive line prospect in the country. Shadarius Tootle, 4-star linebacker from Mobile, leaving the state, flipping from Auburn to Georgia. That's number 4. Chase Callaghan, one of my favorite players on Georgia's commit list. Silent to Texas from Houston. Georgia said, nope, we're going to steal him away. Okay, that was number 5. And a lot of these can be interchangeable, but that's just how my brain worked, and I was writing the notes. And then Jay Lamar, big-time in-state running back. Georgia beat out Miami and Clemson for him. So a lot of in-state battles. Well, not really a lot of in-state battles. A lot of battles in general, right? And I'm teetering off the end of this video. I'm losing my train of thought. We're going to end it. But Shadarius Tootle, just had to say his name again. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you on Dawg Post.